has the opportunity to be what Kyle Pitts is on the offensive side of the football, Skip. Big, fast.
You weren't talking about him falling to Dallas. You were just talking about him in general.
Yeah, I'm just saying, because I was expecting Dallas to stay pat. I thought they would get him at the 10 spot. You was wanting them to get a cornerback, Patrick Surtain II. I said, Skip, if they get an opportunity to get this kid, whew, because he can be special. Now, what it tells me, now, 2 years ago, they had Rod Marinelli and Chris Richard. Oh, man, they tell me they're old school. You can't be playing that defense. So to get rid of those two guys, Chris Richard, Rod Marinelli, they brought the brunt of it. Last year, Mike Nolan's defense is too complicated. They terrible. He's terrible. They need to get rid of him. Lo and behold, I'm looking at what Jerry Jones did. He's telling me, nah, guys, now y'all done scapegoated 3 defensive coordinators. I'm putting my veterans, them guys that's making a lot of money, D-Law, Wolf Hunter, Jalen Smith, all you guys, you don't notice because the first 6 picks went on the defensive side of football. 8 of the 11. Skip, you don't make 8 of 11 picks on the side of the football and you believe that you have the personnel already in place to get it done. They got a linebacker, cornerback, a DT, an edge rusher, cornerback, linebacker. Lo and behold, all the big dollar guys. That's what they got, linebacker. You got 2 guys making big money. You got a D tackle. You got an edge rusher making money. Jerry said, nah, we ain't good enough there. And we need to fix it. You don't notice. Guess what? Dan Quinn ain't going nowhere. Dan Quinn going to be here for a minute. Skip, I like what they did because I believe they addressed the most important need. I understand that you was like, if Kyle Pitts fall, okay, I would have gotten that. But the way the draft set up for them, they were able to move back, get an extra 3rd-round pick, and get Micah Parsons, who I believe is the best defensive player in this draft. And you get a corner, you need a corner. The cornerback had a 1st-round grade on him, but he had some character issues, which Jerry doesn't have a problem with. Both of the guys had little character problems, Skip, but that ain't no problem for Jerry. You know how Jerry is. Jerry like him a little bad boy here and there. He believes that's what it takes to win football games. So I gave them a B+. They addressed the most important need, the defensive side of the football. I like what they've done. Now let's see. I would have given them an A because, Skip, I like to compare free agency and the draft because it's a culmination because you get an opportunity to fill some needs early knowing that you're going to address some more needs late in the draft. But had they done anything substantial in the draft, in free agency, Skip, I would have given them A. But I gave them a B+ because I like what they did. They addressed the need. Defense was their issue. They seem to have addressed it. Let's see. Because they normally hit, Skip. Give the Cowboys credit. You say what you want to say. But normally their draft picks, they normally pan out very well. Let's see if they can keep it going.
Shannon Sharp, the Hall of Famer, gives my Dallas Cowboys a B+ in the draft.
Gave B+.
And me, lifetime Cowboy fan since the age of 10, I give my Dallas Cowboys a C-.
What?
I was extremely disappointed by the outcome of the draft, given the fact that they went into it looking for cornerbacks and safeties. We are so unsafe at safety.
You got one. You got 3 corners.
That's all we got. Okay, so let's step back. They were already targeting J.C. Horn, who went 8th. So actually, the Carolina Panthers had saved Dan Quinn from himself at 8 by taking the player I believe they had targeted. And I'll take Patrick Surtain over J.C. Horn any day, night, or week.
Okay.
And we'll see how that plays out.
Right.
But remember, Dan Quinn is best friends with Will Muschamp, who was the coach at South Carolina for a little while last year until they fell apart at 2-5 and he got fired at midseason.
Right.
Dan Quinn went 0-5 last year as the head coach of the Atlanta Falcons, and he got fired at midseason, not even to midseason of the NFL season, thanks to losing to Dallas 40-39 when they were ahead 29-10 at halftime. And Dan Quinn oversaw the 5th worst pass defense in the history of the National Football League. And now it appears to me...
He's your D coordinator now.
Not only is my D coordinator, I think he's now my unofficial new head coach. I believe that Dan Quinn ran this draft from start to finish. And by the way, did you see what the new characteristic was with every player they picked? Arm length. Everything was about arm length. So if you can tell me that my defense is soon to be nicknamed the long arm of the law, you got me. You got me, but what does arm length exactly have to do? See, he's stuck with, he looks back on what he had, the Legion of Boom that he inherited.
Right.
It wasn't like he picked those players.
Exactly.
But he had Richard Sherman, and he had
Cam Chancellor, Brandon Browner.
and Brandon Browner, and they're long corners.
Right.
They're tallish.
Yes.
They're not gigantically
Right.
tall, but they're long-arm corners. And somehow, yeah, they could also play football.
Right.
You know, like they
Right.
had great instincts.
Right.
Richard Sherman is a gifted football
Right.
player.
Right.
You know it, and I know it.
Yeah.
He has a nose for the ball hawk,
Right.
and he has great instincts. And they were in the perfect system, and he had two of the best safeties in the history of the league behind him. Okay, I get that. But don't tell me that arm length is going to suddenly turn my defense around. And seriously, if you look at every one of these, they're long, tall. Everything. I'm talking about everybody they picked has long arms. Well, great. Okay, so let's get back to Micah Parsons. So they take him 12th overall. And again, I told you, I watched him a lot. Number 11, he leaped off my screen. He opted out last year,
Right.
but I watched him 2 years ago at Penn State. He was everywhere wreaking havoc. They didn't ask him to play any kind of scheme. He just saw ball, attack ball. That's
Just
what
play football, son.
That's what he did. So the point is, he dropped because he has some character issues. I got it.
Yeah.
He also, I watched his whole introductory press session. He's got ego issues. And let me tell you, that what scares me to death, I know Dallas, Texas. I lived there a long time, and I wrote 3 books on the Dallas Cowboys. It can be Sin City for young Dallas Cowboys who suddenly get paid and their runaway egos, because everybody out there wants to be your best friend. You know how it goes. Everybody wants to buy you drinks or buy you this or buy you that, and suddenly you go down the wrong road to hell, right? So I worry about players like this who get their money and suddenly they have a whole rest of the offseason to get ready for, I'm a star in Dallas. Well, you haven't proven anything yet.
Because that's his favorite. That was his dad's favorite team. He wanted to be a Cowboy, Skip.
Okay, so the great Mel Kiper, just a quick point on him. So he loved the pick of Rashawn Slater, who went the next pick to the Chargers.
Right.
Obviously, you could argue he might have been the best as Penei Sewell or him as the left tackle, okay? Well, Mel Charger gave 1 A grade to 2 teams, to Miami and to the Chargers. Why was that? Because of Rashawn Slater. Again, it was a need pick for them to protect Justin Herbert. But also, we go to round 2. My team is sitting, I think, on Trevon Merrick. And he's the safety I watched a lot at TCU because it's a Big 12 team. I watched him play my Sooners. He's just a stud. He just knows how to play.
Did he win the Thorpe Award?
I think he did.
I think he did.
Yeah. Well, every time I watched him, I said, that kid can play. Smart, tough, hitter, just all over the field. Every time you looked up, he was in the middle of the action.
Right.
He is sitting there for Dallas. Dallas is about to pick 44th. And at 43, guess who? The Raiders go up and snatch him. Way to go, Mike Mayock, or maybe it was Gruden. I don't know which one, but they went up and snatched him right out from under us, just like Patrick Surtain was snatched out from under us. And it leaves us with Kelvin Joseph. Okay, what is Kelvin Joseph known for so far? Well, he was at LSU for a while, and then he got suspended before their bowl game. He didn't like the way he was treated, and he took a year off and went to Kentucky. And he had a pretty good year because he can run.
Yeah.
He ran 4.3, 4.34. Off the field, he's also been very successful so far because he's made already 6 rap albums. How do you make 6 at this age? He's made 6 under the name Boss Man Fat. His nickname as a kid was Fat, so he became Boss Man Fat. I like it. I'm good with it.
Okay.
But once again, you have some ego issues going on here, and some teams shied away because he's a talented kid who's really full of himself. Okay, do I love that in Dallas, Texas, Sin City? I don't. And yet, who did I love? I don't even know if I brought this up on the show, but I love bloodline corners. And I loved Asante Samuel Jr.
Yeah.
Obviously, senior played for the Patriots and was pretty
Won 2
great.
Super Bowls and went to the Pro Bowl.
He did pretty well. 3 picks later, guess who goes to the Los Angeles Chargers again? Asante Samuel Jr. So now I'm going to be waiting over the next 5, 6, 10 years to see which of these corners shows up and shows out.
Right.
My money would be on Asante Samuel Jr. I would have taken him because he's just more trustworthy because of bloodlines. This kid can play. I saw a couple of Kentucky games last year where I noticed him.
Right.
But I just don't know. And yet they say he's got long arms. Is that it? I don't know.
Skip, Skip, if you take your child to the store and you say you can get some candy, and they out of that candy, you can't let the kid cry about get something else and let's move it along.
Okay, so we don't get Trevon Merrick, and we don't get Asante Samuel. So right in the middle, we take Kelvin Joseph. And he was a value pick.
Yes.
Kuiper had him ranked 67th. He went 64th. So I'll whatever. I'll give you that on talent. But then we get to the third round. I believe my Dallas Cowboys made the worst 3 third-round picks in the history of the National Football League draft because they did have 3.
Right.
One of them, courtesy of Philadelphia, because they did trade back to get your man Micah Parsons, right?
Yes.
They had an extra 3. And I'm sitting here looking at these, and I can't make heads or tails of why they took them, except they have long arms. So the long arm of the law.
So in other words, you would have preferred them. They had 3 third-rounders. Take 2 of those, package them, and move up and get somebody.
Get
that
do
safety.
something.
Get the safety. That's what you wanted, the safety from TCU.
Okay, so they take the kid from UCLA, the defensive tackle, Osa Odigizua. And